Hi everyone, welcome back to Project No Buy. In today's video, we're going to be talking about more things that I regret buying because the list truly never ends. We're also going to be packing my thread-up bag of clothes to send in because one of the things that I have made genuine progress with since this time last year is not engaging in the vicious cycle of resale and overconsumption through secondhand shopping. I used to be very, very deep into this cycle for multiple reasons, some of which have been kind of, I don't want to say solved, but there have been developments that make it less attractive and also make it more obvious that it's a trap for me personally. And so I guess to get into that before I get into the list of most recent regrets, basically, I decided this time that instead of trying to resell on Mercari this clearly large bag of things, some of these are things that never sold on Mercari the last round, and I was just hanging on to them in order to find them a better place than Goodwill or the Goodwill bins or whatever, given that I can't really ensure that those things are going to get onto the shop floor. I feel a little bit better about the chances at thredUP since most of these things are some kind of brand that were some kind of level of trendy at some time, and that the objective this time around is not to recoup money. Right? It's just a way of ensuring that these things have the best chance of finding another home. And I know that the proceeds or, the money that I do earn from consigning in this way at kind of a low-level consigner are probably going to be very low, right? Any income I get out of this or, proceeds of sales is going to be negligible, not even close to the value of what I paid for some of these things. And my hesitation, I did hesitate with some of these items thinking maybe I should try the Mercari or Poshmark route again just to get some of my money back and possibly be able to use that towards something I might buy. See, again, the thought creeps in as soon as I even approach reselling. I can't just save the money. I can't just withdraw it and save it. I have done that before. I have, and it's not an automatic kind of knee-jerk, I have to shop with the credit. But it kind of is. It still kind of is like a way to be able to get something that I need for less money or less investment from my actual earnings and bank account. And so I still need to stay away from that. I'm not saying resale is bad, but for me, it was definitely not a sustainable shopping alternative as much as it was a way to justify shopping and trying trends in a secondhand, sustainable way. It was a way to tell myself that it was okay, and then reselling the items that I already owned was a way, again, to justify it because not only was I making space by getting rid of things that no longer served, I was also earning some of the money to make that purchase. And so it was just kind of bad news in terms of trying to not buy things. And again, in my update in July for the month of June, we're going to talk about all the things that I slipped up and bought. And you can all leave at that point, right? Because I will have failed you once again. I incidentally have been seeing a lot of criticism online, I guess, online forums, YouTube, TikTok, etc., about creators. I guess there was one who was a fitness creator who later admitted to being on some kind of Ozempic or weight loss drug. And then there was another influencer who made their following based on body positivity and later got plastic surgery, got a boob job or whatever. And so, I'm kind of having thoughts about that, having made my following or my community based on not buying things and then buying a bunch of things. But I do actually think that part of my following my project is documenting all the failures of that, the struggles of the habit change, rather than no buying. And I think that's kind of the crux of the matter for me, is that this is a documentation of the raw, real journey of a person who's really trying, whether you believe it or not. I am really trying to succeed in a habit change, and I have a new why. I have a new reason why, which I will save for the recap video next week, I think. Okay. Packing my thread-up bag, things I regret buying, again, the latest edition for June 2025. Let's get into it. So this is kind of hilarious and ironic and, in all the worst ways. It's not funny ironic, it's like, why am I so stupid ironic? Because I've talked about not doing this verbatim, right? I've talked about this particular item and not diverging from what I know is working. But what happened, what always happens, is I was influenced. And influenced by things that I deemed positive and constructive and helpful and pushing me in the right direction, conducive to my goals. So, warning to you all out there, if you think you're being influenced by me, don't. Don't let yourself be influenced by me. Think for yourself. Think for your own goals, your own situation, your own values, whether or not a switch is right for you. Even if that switch is a cheaper version of the same thing and you think, oh, I'll be saving money. I will be not supporting the overpriced markups and brand washing of having to have a particular luxury brand of this product. I'll cut to the chase already. The thing I'm talking about is mascara. And so I actually have not one, but two lower end, I guess, drugstore mascaras that I conned myself into buying because I typically wear just one or two brands, I guess, two different varieties of mascara that I like. Both of them are around $30, which is expensive. It's undeniably expensive for a single makeup product, a single mascara. And I am not a wealthy person. I am comfortably middle class at this time due to my husband's current job. And I guess I personally got a little bit of a raise that will start next season. Hasn't started yet. We're in the summer months of unemployment. So right now money is tight for me personally, for our family during these next few months. So this is not the time to be unconcerned about the budget. But this is kind of a case of sometimes you're not rich enough to buy cheap things. If there's a thing that works better that you're just going to go back to after trying the cheaper versions and finding something wrong with them. And, it's not finding something wrong. It's, I want to say objective, but it's a difficult case to make when the product is not a need anyway, right? Nobody needs to wear mascara. However, I like to wear mascara. That is the one makeup product that I would prefer not to do without when I go out and about in the world or even kind of film videos at home, right? This is a minimal makeup look for the summer, for today, for general kind of homeware, but I still like to have some eyelashes because otherwise my eyelashes are very kind of sparse and unnoticeable. And again, I know I've been conditioned by societal standards of beauty, but it's one of those things where I'm making a choice for myself and my own body, and I don't think it's a negative influence to wear mascara as a choice, right? I don't think that that's going too far, even if the mascara I choose to wear is $30. And here we are getting overly deep with something that should be a trivial matter. Anyway, last year I talked about taking some viewer recommendations for mascaras, Asian mascaras. Again, thinking, oh, these people have tried these out, they know and like them, I should take a recommendation from somebody who knows. I'm also Asian, so, I have Asian eyelashes probably, or half Asian, whatever. But I tried them and they didn't work for me for various reasons. One of them was hard to get off, hard to remove, and I can't operate with that. I just, my level of ability to cleanse after a long day is just not high enough to deal with hard to remove mascara. And the other one was very dry and it just didn't seem to actually do much for me. So I thought that was that. I'm just going to use the one of two brands of mascara, pick one or the other and use it until it's gone and then get the next one, do that cycle, and I was doing well. So far, so good. I went to Sephora in March, took you with me, I think that's in the March update, and bought the one mascara that I wanted to buy and successfully got out of there with that plus a few samples. So I didn't spend any money, but I did bring extra things home. Actually, was it samples from Lush? I think it was from the other store, bath product samples, not Sephora samples. Anyway, so I got out of there with the $30 mascara and I started thinking that that was too much. I shared that in the video, I think, and I got some comments that the brand of mascara that I got was by the brand L'Oreal, like that was the parent company, and so if I tried maybe one of their own kind of drugstore versions, maybe it would be a suitable dupe for me. And so I did. I Googled, I researched this consumer thing that I wanted to buy. I wasted time, I mean, it's not a total waste of time, right? I'm not coming for you if you like to research products and get the best one. That's not what I'm doing. But for me, it was a waste of time. I tried it. It didn't work for me. This was part of the order that I used the $100 Amazon gift card for. So I didn't necessarily spend my own money. I already talked about this in a previous video, so I'm not going to harp too much onto it there. I also, because in my research about these mascaras, saw that somebody had said that the e.l.f. Lash and Roll was a good dupe for the Lancome mascara that I use. The other one that I like is the Ilia whatever. Product names aren't important for me to share because what works for me might not work for you. So I'm not trying to influence. But not one, but two dupe mascaras for this one mascara that I probably should have just continued buying and have talked directly about in previous videos about how I know better and how I'm not going to make that mistake again. And I made that mistake again. So now I can get rid of these because I opened one, tried it, and it transferred onto the lower, under eye area. When I opened my eyes, it was on the upper eye area as well. And so I couldn't deal with that. I was at work after putting on, I forget which one. This is not a review. So these didn't work for me. I'm gonna put them down. One of these I tried out first and it transferred everywhere. It was up here and down here. And I was at work. I went to the bathroom at break and was like, oh, like that's not, that's not working for me. And the other one was just, again, not doing very much, not doing anything for my eyelashes in terms of having an effect. So never again. I will pay the $30 3 times a year, maybe 4 times if I'm going through mascara quickly. I know it's supposed to be 3 months. Don't come for me. If I get eye infections, then maybe we'll have to reevaluate. But anyway, never again. Never again. I'm telling myself right now, Alexa, don't do it. Just buy one of the 2 mascaras you know you like. If a new one comes out, no, you don't need to try it. Buying to try something is not a good reason. Even if you're trying to do it in the guise of saving money or being more sustainable or, I don't want to say that finding a sustainable option is always a bad thing, but if you have something you know works and you try the sustainable option and it doesn't work and you end up throwing that product away and buying the one you went to in the first place, going back to that one, it's not really so sustainable. So critical thinking, keep it turned on, make a case-by-case judgment, end of rant, I think. The second thing I regret purchasing, I've already talked about this, but I've finally taken it off my bathroom counter and it is leaving my life. Not entirely, I think I am letting my kids play with this one, but the YSL eyeshadow. Anything luxury branded is kind of the blanket category for this. Anything that I bought with any inkling, any kind of consideration of the brand, of the luxury packaging, of the experience of the product when the actual product itself was a little bit lackluster. And, I couldn't know for sure that the YSL eyeshadow wouldn't be the best eyeshadow I ever tried, but that's kind of beside the point. My regret here is not necessarily that it didn't work out for me. My regret here is that I spent almost $70 on a quad of eyeshadow, and some of that motivation was the logo and the packaging. And that is a massive regret. And I justified it to high heavens. I still have the video up on my channel. Is that if I could only keep one makeup video, I think that's where I was talking about the reasons I bought that eyeshadow. And I had some comments that were like, oh, your reasons make sense, that kind of, it clocks or whatever. I look back on myself and I see that it was just a complex form of justification. And some of you, I'm sure, were thinking the same thing and just kind enough not to comment and tell me. I've been fairly lucky to not get much hate on this channel, so thank you for that, community. But I now have seen the light. I say this a lot, but the journey just, one layer at a time, the layers get peeled back. So I see more of the light now. I might not be at the peak of the mountain or fully, fully naked. I haven't fully uncovered it all, but I see more. I appreciate that what I was doing was justifying a purchase that I really didn't need. And I will hopefully have more success in not doing that in the future. Okay, the third thing is something I likewise won't be showing you, the eyeshadow I didn't pull out, but it's still in my house somewhere. The third thing is the plaid vest that I purchased during my no-buy year. And these regrets, actually, the eyeshadow and the mascara, these are all recent purchases. So it's not even things that I realized, oh, I got a long time ago and now regret. These are things that are fresh. So that plaid vest, I almost put it into this bag, this thread-up bag, to send and be resold and get, $5 for something I spent $100 on or whatever it is. But I didn't. I decided to keep it because it fulfills practical purposes. And I regret it because I was buying into a trend. I was wanting to try something so badly that I thought it was justifiable. And I look back and I now see that it still is kind of an outlier in my closet, in my wardrobe. It does still have practical functions, which is why it's still in my closet. And I did wear it recently and I had a positive experience wearing it. So it's not that it's entirely a bad decision, But I do regret the purchase because I do remember that feeling of wanting to try it and feeling like it wouldn't be there later. It's not, incidentally, it's not still for sale. You know, it was kind of a, I don't want to say trendy piece. They still make those vests. The company still makes those kind of style of items, although the particular pattern is not currently available. The pattern actually is an outlier, a big outlier in my wardrobe. I'm not really a plaid or gingham person, and I just don't think it's part of my inherent style. It is very much a summer piece for me. And some of those are okay. Some level of summer pieces are okay to own, at least for me in my lifestyle. I'm not somebody that has to have total seasonal versatility, at least not yet. I am slowly whittling down the clothes that I want to be keeping, and I'm gonna divulge more of that as we go into more of these items. But for now, it is nice to have something that's loose and airy and kind of covers whatever you're wearing. So I went to, not a dinner party, like an evening kind of gathering where we had dinner. So maybe kind of a dinner party, a summer party, where there was grilling and kind of finger foods. And it was recent, so I had my back injury and I didn't want to wear anything too form-fitting because I was going to be hunched over the whole time, right? And I didn't want people to know exactly how bad it was. And so I had my form-fitting tank or tube top on and the vest over top. And that plus this, which I'm pretty sure I've worn the shirt in the past like 3 videos, even the one I filmed prior to my injury. And then like the 2 most recent ones. This is pretty much my summer uniform. Form-fitting tank or tube top, overlayer that's kind of light and airy for when I want to be kind of more professional in public. And then at home I can just, you know, rock around in my form-fitting shirt and nobody cares how hunched over I am or, you know, what things are looking like over here. But anyway, back to the vest. This was definitely a self-influenced fantasy purchase based on my own observation of the trends and the cool girls and what the fashion girlies were trying at the time, what they were wearing, what they were sharing. And so I wanted a piece of that pie. And I didn't necessarily think how it would fit into my overall style. I didn't necessarily know my overall style back then because I was so plugged into the trend and fashion community. And part of what I thought it meant to be fashionable was to be aware of the trends and also participate in the trends to some degree. And now I know that, well, first of all, I don't necessarily care as much about being fashionable as I once did. Second of all, my kind of fashionable that I want to be relies much more heavily on things that look good to me. And those things don't have to change. They can be the same things worn season after season that I love and feel good in and feel comfortable in, maybe most importantly. And so it doesn't depend on interaction with a constantly changing ecosystem of trends and new things to try, new things to buy. So anyway, regret the vest, still gonna keep it and still gonna wear it. It makes a good professional cover-up garment, but I won't be making that mistake again. At least I hope. I know I'm gonna eat my words, and next year or even a few months from now, I'm sure in the next video of things I regret, but for now, we're gonna avoid that. The 4th thing on this list pains me to say, because it is yet another thing that I bought during my first no-buy year. It is my beloved jeans. No, not the $500 ones, but the first ones. Let's see if I've got them close to the surface of this bag. The dark wash jeans, again, my first experience with the brand Tibby, and with the sculptural bottom. I think they're the brand Koozie jeans. And again, you know, not saying that to influence you, just saying that to kind of provide the context for where I was in the no-buy, breaking them for those jeans, having the style aspirations. Now, the only reason that I'm letting go of those jeans and that they are a regret is because they are too small. And let me drop a note on sizing. Size perception, size indications, size instructions. My way of interpreting size instructions. These days, in my new mature state as a 30-something-year-old who's coming into focus, I view size charts and sizing of garments as information for how you want something to fit. Before this point, I looked at size charts and thought, what is the smallest size that fits my body? What measurements match up with my measurements? So if I was shopping for jeans, and the 28 inches means your waist is 28 inches, and that's what I'm currently measuring at. That's the size I would get. Nowadays, if I'm measuring 28 inches, I'm probably gonna buy the 30 because I don't want my jeans to be snug or form-fitting or even flattering. I don't care about that anymore. I still wanna look good in a way that I think looks good. But I don't care about how the garment was even supposed to fit, to some degree, right? Like, I'm not out here trying to make skinny jeans look oversized because I'm gonna buy them 10 sizes too big, like there's a line. But I read the reviews on these jeans and ascertained that a size too small, 2 sizes smaller than I would normally buy, would fit. They do fit. They still can be zipped up, but they are not comfortable. And I've been on this kind of saga of letting go of any pants that are too tight. And I did replace some of these pairs last year. I still have the replacements, the sweatpants and the kind of Toby pants. I still have those. I still wear those. But my new journey, or current journey, the continuation of this crusade, involves letting go of any clothes that are too tight, too form-fitting, not comfortable, and not form-fitting in terms of being the style of the garment. I still have form-fitting tanks and tees, skinny jeans even, but in terms of the size and the feeling, I no longer tolerate things that squish uncomfortably and things that make it hard to sit down or make it hard to just be in my natural posture, my natural to me posture. And this is an interesting regret because for a while, these dark jeans, were legitimately my favorite pants. And there is a little bit of an element of being a slightly different size. So I was a little bit lighter or thinner or whatever, smaller when I bought these jeans. And I guess just a small difference can make your clothes too tight. And I buy things with that in mind now. So once again, I'm much more willing to have a little bit of an oversized fit if it means that there's flexibility for even different times of the month, but different weights, different stages. And so, especially with garments that are expensive or branded or, designed or whatever, designer style, not high-end luxury designer, but if you've been here, you kind of know the levels at which I'm talking about. I value much more the comfort, the versatility, and value much less the looks, the style, the perception, having to be small, having to have the smallest size that'll fit, not even squeezing myself into something necessarily, but just having the size that perfectly corresponds to my measurements, not anymore. Not for me. And part of that is my style, honestly. Part of my style is to embrace the oversized, breezy look and rely less on the tailored, the ultra feminine, the looks that involve close kind of contours of the body. Again, not that I don't like that, but it's just not the foundational aspect of my style. There will probably be some kind of oversized, breezy, stretchy, comfy element to almost all of my outfits. Okay, the last category of things I regret buying is actually kind of out of left field. So before I go there, I will delve a little bit deeper into this bag and show you a few of the surprising things that I've decided to let go of. If you want to skip to the 5th thing that I regret, you can use a timestamp below. So the next thing I decided to let go of was this jumpsuit with shorts. So this was one of those sustainable purchases that I made. It's 100% linen. I think the brand is like a capsule collection brand. It's supposed to be one of those small production, I don't really know, but basically I justified myself into buying it by saying it was good for the environment, etc. A sustainable way to buy clothes. It's a versatile garment, right? It's got shorts, it's got pants, you can take the top off. And I just have outgrown it in multiple ways. The pants are a little bit tight. The shorts have elastic, so in theory I could keep those. The color is also a little bit earthy for me, and while I don't think it looks objectively bad, it's just not in my style color palette, my comfortable colors to wear. And so again, instead of trying to recoup money for it, reselling it myself, I am going to send it the way of the online consignment and get it out of my life that way and break free, hopefully, from the cycle of resale and looking to replace these things. I don't have any other jumpsuit type garments, and I'm going to keep it that way because they've never fit me the greatest, being somebody who's very tall or quite tall, probably with a long torso, also with scoliosis. And so, it's not the greatest type of garment for me to be pursuing. So no more jumpsuits. We're letting go of my last and only one. I didn't think I would be getting rid of anything from my Concert Black collection, but this is a very fitted blazer. And the reason I'm letting this go is because it is tight across the back, or rather it fits just right across the back, which means when I move, it's not the most comfortable. And I've just outgrown that. I've outgrown that feeling of my clothes fitting snugly and tailored and kind of perfectly hugging the contours of my body. I just don't like that feeling anymore. Along those same lines, this is the item that I hemmed and hawed the most about. And, maybe it's not over until the fat lady sings and until the bag is actually out of my house. But in this bag is also my beloved purple blazer and pants. The pants are a no-brainer because they're in that cropped style, slightly low-waisted, maybe mid-rise, but on me it's kind of low-rise, and they're cropped. I think they're supposed to be at the ankle, but on me it's almost mid-calf, so they just look ridiculous. I don't know how I ever didn't think they looked ridiculous, but my style has changed and evolved, as is probably many of you out there. But I look at them now and it's just comical how it's not how I want to look anymore. And so the decision was, do I keep the blazer or not? And the last couple of times I've worn this, the same feeling has happened as the tight black blazer here, where it's not a bad fit, but across the back, it's just perfect enough, I guess, fitted to my body enough that when I move, and my job is playing a string instrument, so I'm moving at my job where I would wear this, it's making its presence known, and I don't want to feel the presence of my clothes. So it just doesn't make sense for me to keep this. The other thing is that it is a little bit tailored, so it kind of goes in at the waist a little bit, and I actually prefer the oversized boxy blazer fit, of which I have 3, right? I have a black one for concerts, a gray one, and a tan one, or khaki. And I think those are just going to be enough for me. 2 blazers for workwear and 1 for concerts. I wear that blazer almost every concert, and it's actually felt kind of good. Men wear the same suit every concert, or, variations of the same suit. I wouldn't be surprised if many of them only have 1 suit. And so why shouldn't I just have 1 staple jacket? I do also have cardigans, so I have multiple options even so. And I don't even have to wear a jacket. It's not actually men's and women's options at our orchestra, by the way. It's option 1 and option 2. So it doesn't really matter what gender you identify with. You can choose whichever option. Men don't have to wear jackets. They could wear something long-sleeved anyway, or just, a blouse if they wanted to, or a dress if they wanted to. But it just has to be sleeve lengths of a certain length, and, the legs, if it's a dress, it's got to be floor length or whatever, ankle length. So anyway, back to the matter at hand. So basically I've done that sweep of my wardrobe and gotten rid of anything that's too small or even just right and makes its presence known, feels restrictive, feels like an old version of myself that maybe was pre-kids or pre-having a job that was, maybe that's the other development. I now have technically a full-time job or a job with a salary, even a low one, in a symphony. And so my position is more stable now. And the only other jobs that I'm probably going to get into is if I audition for and get into a better symphony. So it's the same kind of job, the same kind of dress code, the same formality level, the same levels of movement. So with that kind of added stability, I guess, comes additional insights into how I need and want and need my clothing to function for me. So anyway, that's a little bit of the latest declutter. I did also go through my jewelry, my earrings, and get rid of a lot of that as well, or put it somewhere else so that when people in my life are older, they can look into them, kids and other family members. I guess also another amusing thing is that the Nord Green watch that I was influenced to buy is also in this thread-up bag because I am never going to wear that. If I wear a watch, it's either this fitness watch, which I know is objectively ugly, or at least I think it is. I don't wear it for style, and I do sometimes take it off when I want to look better. And I have the watch that was my husband's first Christmas gift to me as well. So that one is a metal kind of chain strap one. So I don't need any other watches. I'm going to get rid of that Nord Green watch, get it out of my life. Again, I it's not worth my time to resell it anymore. It's not worth the time or the danger of falling back into that cycle of resale shopping. I know it's a privileged place to be in, to not need the money or to be able to get by without having to recoup the funds of the things that I bought. These things mostly, so I showed you the recent things, so I'm contradicting myself here a little bit, but for example, like the purple suit, the black blazer, the Nord Green watch, so those things were all purchased prior to the no-buy year. So yes, a lot of things I regret in this video as regrets were purchased last year or more recently. The things in this bag that I could be reselling, a lot of them are purchased longer ago, more time ago, years ago. What is going on with my language? So anyway, times have changed. I don't want to be in the cycle of shopping. I don't feel that I need anything anymore. And so the idea of having resale credit that I could fulfill any gaps in my wardrobe are kind of gone because I don't feel those gaps in the same way. Again, I'm about to contradict myself when I do June's recap and go through the long list of things that were purchased in June. So there's been a lot of foreshadowing for that video already. I almost forgot to come back to my list of regrets for the fifth thing. This one is pretty random because it's not a thing that I could show you or even a thing that I still have. But the fifth thing that I regret buying is actually the snacks, the impulse buys, especially at Costco where the snacks that you buy on impulse are also like 20 servings of the snack or a huge bag of whatever it is. And sometimes this works out really well, other times it doesn't. And it's not that I regret every single snack that I've tried, but I have regretted enough of them, or even some of the ready meals, that I have to remind myself to think much more critically about it. And I don't like wasting food. I don't like returning open food, even though you can do that at Costco and get your money back. But it's not just about the money. We talked about the true cost a few videos ago. I forgot what I said in that since it was filmed and edited so long ago, even though it was recently posted. But anyway, the true cost is not just the money. It's everything involved, right? The waste, the packaging, the shipping fuel or whatever it is, my time, my guilt about not liking it and not wanting to eat it, the processing of the food if there's things that I don't necessarily want to be eating in there, artificial dyes, etc. Not trying to propagate propaganda here. But anyway, when in doubt, the answer's got to be no, not yes. I've definitely been slipping a little bit into the yes territory of like, should I try this? Sure, it's not technically a no-buy category because it's groceries and it does get eaten. And even if I don't like it, there's like 7 people in my house. Somebody might like it, but no, that's not the way I want to operate anymore. And it is the time where we have to be a little more mindful of actually sticking to our monthly budget in order to get to the next phase of the year, fall season, where we're back to having my paycheck again. So, a final recap on those things that I regret buying that somehow took forever to get through, but just 5 things. 5 things. Number 1, trying different mascara, trying to find a cheaper version of something that I know and like, trying to save some money and then ending up wasting money. Thing 2, luxury branding on anything. The eyeshadow that ended up being subpar, and then I ended up having qualms about letting go of it because it was so expensive and because it had the luxury logo. Not anymore. Thing 3, the fantasy self clothing purchase. It was not like anything in my wardrobe. It is still an outlier in my wardrobe. It was trendy at the time and I influenced myself into buying it. 4, the jeans that were just the right size that ended up being too small because just the right size is not how I want my clothes to fit anymore. 5, the impulse snack purchases, especially the larger sized ones. All right, that's the latest outcrop of things that I've bought recently and regret. Let me know some of yours in the comments. I would love to not feel totally alone in this. Not that I'm saying I hope you regret things that you bought. Let's be clear there. You know, that's not, I don't wish that on you, but if you have any, let me know. And with that, I will say bye for now and see you in the next one.